So just the other day, we were hosting a boardroom training. We do a boardroom training each week. Doug Sperling and I, for our boardroom group, which is our highest level mastermind. And this is such a wonderful group of business owners that they just continually get better. They share best practices. They are relentless in their commitment to improving. And I say that knowing that, I mean, they're not these rise and grind people that I think, probably get a lot of the online acclaim on things like TikTok or Reels or whatever else. They're great coaches, great business owners who just keep getting better. And, um, you know, when we did a recap of their 2023, everybody in the group had either had their best year from a standpoint of revenue or a standpoint of profit, which was, I mean, it was amazing. It was almost unheard of, right? But just the other day, we looked, kind of looked at how they did in May. And, you just kept hearing all these wonderful accomplishments. $27,000 in profit from one business, best May ever, best month ever, best month in recurring revenue. Hey, our business has jumped up to our best recurring revenue in just the couple months we've been in boardroom. People, multiple people over, $100,000 a month in revenue. And I thought, I mean, May isn't historically, the best month in a lot of businesses, but for these guys, I mean, it was just highlight after highlight, and they have been such an amazing group, and I'll be the first to tell you, I've been very fortunate to be a facilitator, a coach for a number of mastermind groups. I mean, I started running mastermind groups back in like 2008, and I've historically just had some of the best business owners in the industry, a number of people who are coaches or have gotten into franchising or any number of things, and have had a huge impact, and they've done really big things. But this group is just really, really unique in that, I don't know that there's ever been a group I've been involved with that just kind of just keeps the blinders on, and they just keep improving month after month. And it's not any one thing. It's not like, oh, there was just this singular marketing tactic everybody went and deployed. I mean, I know in other mastermind groups sometimes it runs more like a seminar. They go and have presenters, and they talk about, well, hey, this guy's going to present on this advertising tactic, and this guy's going to present on this marketing strategy, and that's not really the approach we take. We work on each person's business. We talk about what's working, but it's very much coaching, not lecture. And it's such an interesting approach, but because due to that, I think that, well, there are lots of shared best practices. I mean, this is not a group where everybody's the same, and we have some people who are more fat loss focused, some people who are more alleviation of pain, or kind of working with the 50 and over market, or sports performance, different models, different geographic locations. And they all just install fundamental things and keep improving on those things, very much in an incremental fashion, but it just compounds over time. And so somebody will install something, they'll see a little bit of a lift, and then they'll install something else, see a little bit of a lift, but then 3 or 4 months in, after they've improved in these 3-4 areas, they'll start to see this compound effect and it'll just multiply. And if I look at, you know, how that has just kind of permeated throughout the entire group and everybody kind of leans into that approach, I'm like, I mean, it's exactly what we teach clients, right? I mean, you get consistent with coming into the gym 3 days a week, and then you make a couple nutritional changes, and then you add a little physical activity outside of the gym, and you improve your sleep, and before you know it, you're transformed, and you've kind of become this better version of you, and I think they're the embodiment of the approach that I think most of us teach. It's not a magic bullet. It's not a quick fix. It's doing a lot of things right and doing them consistently over time. And the reason I wanted to touch on this is, you know, because of it, these owners don't have this kind of peak and valley approach. Yeah, I mean, a couple of them are in markets where there's some seasonality, right? Whether it's snowbirds coming down from the north or people trying to get out of the heat during the summer or something like that. And so there is a little bit of ebb and flow that way. But in general, they're far more stable, and they aren't because they're not so dependent on one single marketing tactic. If an algorithm changes, they're not crushed. If if a particular promotion doesn't go quite as well as they may have hoped, they still have other things running that drive business in. And there's so much value in this, but there are also people who are not just burn the candle at both ends business owners. They're the same people who take vacations and go and hike mountains and coach their kids' basketball teams, and they are really kind of walking, talking billboards for this whole concept of having your ideal business. They've all put themselves in a position to, build financial security and even wealth. They've kind of evolved their role to what they want to play in the business, and man, they just keep getting better month after month. And if you've been like so many people that I've encountered, and frankly, I've fallen into this trap from time to time too, where you kind of chase this shiny object, or you're impatient because something that you installed brings in a trickle of new business instead of a flood. And, and then you jump ship and you go to the next thing. Think about what you'd tell a client and take that same approach, because that's what these guys take. And these are some of the best business owners in the industry. And that's their approach. They just month after month kind of keep turning the dials a little bit to keep improving. It's not magic. They pretty much all are part of our win the week calls that we identify your weekly priority action items, and then they just knock them off week after week. And it's not just marketing, right? They're doing things to improve how they train their staff. They're doing things to improve the client experience and up retention numbers. They optimize pricing. They optimize their model, and all of these things yield this compound effect where, you look up and your business is 200 or 300% better than it was 2 years ago. And that's not an easy task to accomplish if you already had a pretty solid business. I mean, if you're a startup, making those jumps, it's an accomplishment, but it's easier to double or triple $5,000 a month than it is to double or triple $30,000 a month. So I wanted to tell you that because, I've gone over a lot of tactics and a lot of concepts in this business, but sometimes I just want to remind you that if you want to build a durable business that keeps clients long term and isn't built on fads and quick fixes and all that stuff, I mean, it just requires you kind of adhering to that same mentality and that same philosophy that you encourage your clients to adhere to. And if you do that, you'll likely do really well and you'll reap the rewards. And they'll probably come faster than you think. Yeah, they're not immediate gratification. You're not going to flood your gym with, 100 new people in the next 5 days, but you're going to look up a year from now and you're going to be amazed at how far you've gone.